Hello guys, how are you all? Okay, guys, am I audible? Is my screen visible? Okay, how are you guys? Okay, uh, good, nice. I'm also good, guys. Thank you for the confirmation. Okay, so let me just share my screen. I think I have shared my screen, but it is not visible. Just one second. Okay, I hope it is visible now, right? So today we'll be just going to okay, this is like a zoomed one only, right? On SQL, like there is no option for zooming and all. Okay. All right. So let's just begin today's session. So what we'll be going to do, let me just give you a introduction about it. Just one second. So these are the things that we'll be basically going to cover today. Just one second. Okay, so these are the things that we'll be going to cover for today is I think again my window is it is not visible. Just one second, guys. Okay. So just see what we'll be going to do today. We'll be just going to learn about what is select from and order by. We'll be just going to learn and where we'll be basically going to learn over here. And some things we'll be going to cover from this one, like distinct as and or not. What are basically these statements? This is what we'll be basically going to learn for today. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I think I have not shared it, Supriyo. What I'll be going to do? I think I've shared it or not, but today I'll be again going to share it. Don't worry about it. All right. So let's just start with MySQL. Okay. So initially you will be going to have a window like this. So what you basically have to do, you basically have to click on this local host. And if you have any other connection, let's just say you want to create a local host. Let's just say you basically want to create my local system. And what you basically have to do is like port is there, store in keychain, click on store in keychain and type your password and just click on OK. So just see, it is now showing over here. This one, my local system. So what we'll initially will be going to do, we'll be going to click on, let's just say this is the one that you have basically created, that is your local host. Okay. So click on this one. So it will going to ask for the password. Just type your system password. Okay. Now this is basically how it will basically going to look like your MySQL. So over here we'll be going to write each and every query. I am sharing your screen and I have my eyes on the comment section also. Don't worry. This screen is visible, guys. For me, it is showing it is visible. Yes. It took some time, like I think my internet connection is not stable. Maybe because of that, this issue is basically happening. So okay. So all screen is not visible. Skill is still, like some people are saying screen is not visible. Can I get a confirmation, guys, whether this screen is visible or not? MySQL. What you basically have to do initially, this will be your home page, right? So initially you'll be going to have this local host, but if you basically want to create a new connection, you can just click over here in the add one, and you can just write any name. Like this is Satyam, I'll be just going to write, and just click on this store in keychain and just click on OK. All right, but initially we have created this one, so I'll be going to click on this one only. So this is how it will like going to work. Okay, so what we'll be going to do today is, first we'll be basically going to learn about something. Let us just say we'll be just going to learn about, we'll be just going to create, I can basically say simple table we'll be basically going to create over here, like which basically includes some columns. Okay, let us just say which have some columns like country ID, comma country name. Because initially what you have to do, you have, whenever you will be going to create a table or something, what you have to do at that time is, you basically have to, okay, you basically have to create a table at that time. All right, this is the like thing that you basically have to do. So this is the question over here, that we'll be just going to create a table which is going to be country name. Let's just say you are creating a data, so you have to be make sure one thing, like what should be the table name. It is really an important thing, because from by this table name only, each and everyone will basically going to call this data. I have already shared it, Rahul. The doc I have already shared it, and you just have to simply download it, and there is only one single command that you have to use at that time, that I have even shown in the yesterday session. Just try to do it from your own end. You will be able to do it. So over here, just see this thing will be, this thing that you will be able to see on the left. What is this thing? Let's just say sys and new sc. So this is nothing but, this is, you can consider it a data, as a database or a schema, and inside this database you will going to see table viewer, multiple things are there. So we are interested in table only. Okay, so right now we have countries, employees table. So we'll be going to learn how to create these tables and all. Okay, now, so what we'll be basically going to do, guys, over here, we'll be simply going to create table over here. Let us just say, for creating a table, what we'll be going to use, we have to use create. All right, and after that you have to write what you want to create. We want to create a particular table. Now I have two schemas or two collections. So what I basically have to do over here is, I basically have to, mention in which database I basically want to do this thing, create a table. So for that, I'll be just going to do sys sys dot, I can basically say, I'll be just going to create a table which will basically going to have a name of countries, or let's just say new sc I'll be going to create. That is my new schema, new underscore sc dot, I'll be just going to write the company table name. So that is basically going to be countries. Okay, I'll be just going to add like new sc dot countries. This is what I am basically creating over here. And after that, what I basically have to do, I will basically going to mention which all right, which all columns I basically want over here. This is what I'll be basically going to mention over here. So what I'll be basically going to do over here is, that if I basically have to create any kind of a column inside it, this is just a table name that I'm creating. I have to mention I want 2 columns, 3 columns, 4 columns, 5 columns. So for that, what I'll be going to do, I'll be simply going to write the column name, country underscore ID. There will be one column which will going to name as country ID. Now there is one thing we'll be going to mention, that is, who will going to tell me what is this varchar? Tell me guys, what does this thing basically do? And after that, we'll be going to add one more column name, that is going to be my country underscore name varchar. What is basically this thing? What I'm basically doing over here? I'll be just going to explain you, don't worry. Okay. Okay. What is this varchar over here, guys? Basically, it is nothing but whenever you are basically creating this thing, a columns in basically your table. Yes, right, guys. So whenever you are creating a column in a table, you at that time you basically have to mention the data type of it. Okay. What you basically have to do is you basically have to mention the data type of it. Nothing else. This is the only thing that you basically have to do over here. If I've basically mentioned varchar, so varchar is basically what it is going to do. It will just simply going to mention that this is a variable. Now, if you guys are like doing this thing, I can basically say, if you guys are learning Java, Python, and multiple things are basically there, right? So at that time, what will basically going to happen? You might be aware about these things. What is basically your data types? Okay. Now let us just say what will be a data type. Yes, right, guys. You are absolutely right. You guys are basically saying like 40 characters it will going to have, NFS nation 0 to 255. Okay, over here, just see Omkar, what we are doing. We have multiple databases, or I can basically say schemas. So what we are doing, if I want to create a table, so I'll be going to mention this one. Let us just say in SYS I want to create. So in sys, now the this thing I already have. If I just show you countries, I already have. Now let us just say I want to basically create country. Let me just add 2 times more s. Okay, and now let us just try to run it. Okay, and if I'll be just going to simply, if I'll be simply going to refresh this one, and if I just show you now table over here, now just see, we have created this table now. So why it has not created over here? Okay, or what if I'll be going to remove this SYS and I'll be just simply going to run it? So it is showing me an error over here. Okay, because before executing it, you basically even have to mention one thing, that what in which of this schema you basically want to insert it. All right. So if I just show you this country, if I just double click on it, so you'll be able to see new SC is basically there. Just see. This is how it will going to look like. That right now it have this country ID, country name, region ID, but there is no row in it because till now we haven't inserted any data. We have just created a table. SYC will already be created. If you basically want to create a schema, it is like nothing. You just have to click over here and you just have to create it. Okay, just see, create a schema is there. I'll be just going to click over here and let us just say I'll be going to mention let's upgrade. All right, and I'll be simply going to apply it and close it. Now just see, let's upgrade schema is ready. Now if I want to create a table inside let's upgrade, what I basically have to do is I simply have to I simply basically have to call this let's upgrade at that time for writing the query. Okay, let's just say country, I basically want to create the same table in let's upgrade. So in front of it, I'll be just going to mention let's upgrade dot countries, and all the things will be okay. Just see, this is the extra thing. You just have to run it. Okay, create table let's upgrade dot countries. Something is missing. Just I think spelling is right? Let's upgrade the country ID will be there, this thing will be there, right? Just 1 second, guys. I have added it basically, the comma and all. Just see, 1 second. Okay, I basically have to do one thing. Okay, okay. Now, okay. What mistake I'm basically doing? Okay. Like inside it, I basically have okay already created. So like this code is already been executed. That's why it was not creating. So if we think we can like one thing also mention over here, that if table is already created, then don't create it. So that thing we'll be just going to use. So inside it, you just have to mention the database first. Like sorry, yeah, you just have to mention the database first, and after that you basically have to mention the table name, so you'll be easily able to create it. So that is like one thing. All right, now let us just say the same mistake that I was doing. If I basically have to remove this particular mistake, that if like table was like already created, but I was like again and again executing it. So what thing I can basically do over here, I can simply do one thing over here. Just go on the query one. All right, and just basically create this thing. The same command we'll be basically going to use, and we'll be just going to mention the let's upgrade over here. Let's upgrade. So I have basically mentioned create table if not exist. This is what you basically have to mention. Like let's upgrade is the database name, that's your schema, and countries I'm basically doing where country ID will be there, country name will be there, and region ID will be there, and I'll be simply going to execute it. So at this time it is basically giving me this. Okay, because country is already present over here, the table that we are looking for. Okay, yes, yes, right. So this is what we'll be going to do. Then after that, let's just say now you know what is this varchar. It is basically nothing. It will basically going to define that this is a variable. Now what are variable are? Variable can be, let us just say if you have a name, let's just say Satyam is there, Ayush is basically there, and let us just say Nikhil is basically there. Now if I just talk about decimal, how it will look like, can I say 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4 comma 5 comma 6, like this it will basically going to look like. Okay, now okay, all right. So like till now what we have basically did, that if the table is like already been created, so what we'll be going to do, we'll be just going to if exist. Otherwise what we'll be going to do, we'll be simply going to create these things. Now let us just say what is the next thing that you basically have to do over here. Let us just say you basically have to write a SQL query which will basically going to have multiple columns. Let's just say it will going to have a job ID, job title, min max scalar, minimum salary will be there, multiple things are there, but you have to mention one thing over here, that the salary, or let us just say any value that you will be going to write over there, any value that you will be going to write over there, that should not exist some limit. Okay, that should not exist, that should not exceed some limit. This is what you basically have to do over here. Okay, so that thing how we'll be basically going to do it, let's just try to understand over here. So what we'll be basically going to do over here, so let's just say this is your this thing. Now let's just remove it, and this is basically the thing that we'll be going to do today. So what you have to do, you basically have to create a table which will going to have a job ID, job title, minimum salary, max salary, and check whether the maximum salary amount should not exceed the upper limit of 25,000. So if I have to set a upper limit, what do you think guys, what I'll be going to use? Tell me guys, what do you think, if I have to set a upper limit or something, what I basically have to do? Max, okay, less than, people are saying like max than. Okay, have you guys write a query? Okay, I'll be going to write it, but before I'm asking to you. Okay, now, so for this thing what we'll be basically going to do guys, we'll be simply going to write a query over here, create table if not exist. So why we are like again and again using this if exist, because it is a good practice. So what we are doing, we'll be going to write this thing, a table we'll be going to create which will be going to name as job. Now what I'll be going to mention, I'll be just going to mention job ID should be there, varchar, let's just say 10. Now just tell me one thing guys, what is the meaning of this thing? If I have mentioned not null, what do you think, what is the meaning of it? Okay, less than equal to, repeat, missing value, not empty. Right, yeah, right, guys. It should be not empty. Right. Like it, if you'll be going to and do an entry in this thing, so this value can never be empty. This is the meaning of this not null. Okay, absolutely right. Now I have min salary, then I basically have, okay, what do you think, what should be the data type of salary? What should I mention the data type of salary? Tell me. Okay, can I say it will going to be decimal? Similarly for this thing, Now after that, if I have to mention one thing, guys, if I have to mention one thing, that the salary should not exceed 25,000. So I basically have to mention a check over here. For that, we'll be going to use over here max salary that we basically have, that should not be greater than this one. All right. Now tell me one thing. What is the thing that is missing over here? If I'll be going to run this query, will it going to run, or will it going to give me an error? This is nothing but the salary will be in 6 figures, like ones, tens, 100,000, 10,000, lakh. Okay, this is missing. What else is missing? What is the thing that is missing over here? Okay, comma after max salary. All right. Will it going to create the table for me or not? What do you think? This is just an example that we are taking SN. It's not like that. ID will be varchar. Example we are taking over here. Don't worry. Yes, you will get the recording video. Okay, let me just execute it. But it is basically giving me an error. Why? Because I have not mentioned the schema name over here. Okay. Okay. Let's just see. Sys will be going to create. All right. So there was a space problem. Yeah. Yes. Right. So it has basically created this one. Now if I'll be just going to check, and if I'll be just going to check in the jobs, so job is basically there. Let me just click over here on the table. Now you'll be able to see we have job ID, we have job title, we have minimum salary, we have maximum salary. Now all the thing that we basically have to do is that whenever we will be going to insert something in it, we have to be make sure one thing, that it should be like not exceed this particular limit that we have basically mentioned over there. Now what if we basically have to insert some records in it? Okay, what if we basically have to insert records in it? So what we'll be going to do over at that time? So first of all, let us just do one thing. In the countries, we'll be going to insert it. So let us just have a look in the country, that how your basically country is looking like. So right now, if I just talk about country, it basically have country ID, country name, and region ID. So can I say if I have to insert something over here, 3 values should be there that we'll be going to insert. So for if I have to insert a record, what I have to do? Insert into countries. Okay. Now the, like over here I have mentioned, I am going to insert in countries, in the countries table, right? Now if I have to insert a value, for that first I have to write values that I'll be basically going to insert. So let us just say I'll be going to insert over here, C1 should be there, and after that India is basically there, or let's just mention it in a small letters, and after that I basically have, this is in your decimal one. Okay, now what thing is basically missing? Again, I have to write in front of it insert into countries, but where? SYS in this particular thing. Now I'll be just simply going to run it. Okay, now if I'll be just going to look into the country, just see this, these are the same values that we have inserted, right? Same values that we have inserted, that is C1 India and 1001. What if I'll be just going to do one thing like this was my query, but over here I'll be going to mention it in a particular string, and let's just execute it. Okay, and if I'll be just simply going to look over here, or let's just insert some other C2 India. Okay, this thing. Now if I'll be simply going to refresh it, and I'll be simply going to look into it, just one second, let me just refresh it. Okay, these are the things that we have basically inserted over here in the country. Got it? Any kind of a confusion till now, guys? Okay, now let us just say if I basically have a country table, and what I basically have to do over there, that I basically want to look the whole table from here also, from here only. Let us just say I have this thing. Now what I basically have to do, I basically have to look into the country table. So what I'll be basically going to do over here, let us just say if country table doesn't exist. Okay, now so what I'll be just going to do, just one second, I'll be just simply going to do create table if not exist country new, and what I'll be going to do over here as select what we are basically doing over here, guys. We are just doing nothing. We are just creating a duplicate table. We are simply creating a duplicate table, that is country new. Let us just go in sys and let us just have a look at country new. So just see this thing. We have a new table, that is country new, that we have just copied from the country table. All right. Where is my this thing? So if you basically have to create it, what you basically have to do is you just have to write this command, that create table if not exist sys.country new, and select star from countries. What we are doing, if we are mentioning star, that means all the records that we'll be going to fetch and we'll be going to copy in a new table, that the name you basically have to mention over here, because we have executed it 2 times. That's why the duplicate values are present over here. I have executed it 2 times. All right, that is the reason why it is basically showing you 2 times. Now what if, just tell me guys, what if you basically have created a new table and you basically have to insert multiple values or multiple rows in it? How you will be going to do this particular thing? Let's just see this thing also, and let's just close these tabs. Now over here I'll be simply going to write my query. Let's just say in country I want to insert multiple rows. So what I'll be going to do, insert, for sure if I have to insert, I'll be going to use insert into countries, and values I'll be basically going to use over here, and I'll be simply going to mention multiple values. Like how? Let us just say I basically have C0001 comma India I basically have, and let us just say 1004. This is one thing. Now I want to insert another one. So I'll be just going to mention the comma, and I'll be just going to copy paste this particular thing, and the values I'll be simply going to change. So let us just C002 will be there, India will be there, and instead of 1004, 1005 will be there. And after that 1006 will be there, India, and 3 will be there, like this. So let us just execute it for now. Okay. Okay. SYS. Okay, what thing I have basically missed over here? Uh, Countries is basically there, right? And values is basically, oh, okay, okay. What is the thing that I have basically missed over here? I'm just just 1 second. Let me just copy this particular thing and let me just. Okay, so insert into sys is basically there, and country COUNTRAS, countries values I have basically mentioned. That is going to be this thing, and oh yeah, it is basically right. But why it is giving me an error? Okay, near values, put a round bracket. Round bracket is basically there. Just 1 second, guys. Round bracket I have already mentioned, right? And do I have to this thing restart it or something? Okay, there is some like. Give me 1 second, guys. Country is already basically there. My query is also right. Okay, okay, just 1 second, 1 second, guys. Okay, insert into this thing. This query is basically right, but no, basically over here, what? Okay, this is what you are saying, that we should like add it one more this thing. No, just 1 second. Okay. Okay. I think I have did one thing wrong. So over here, I basically even have to mention the column names also. Okay. I basically even have to mention the column names. So countries, and after that, I basically have to mention, I think column names also should have mentioned. So that is going to be country ID, country. Oh, sorry. Country underscore ID should be there, and after that, I basically have country name and region ID. Country name, and after that, I basically have a region ID, region underscore ID. I think all the spellings and all are same. REGION and region ID. ID is basically okay. Region name, country ID. All right. Let's just try to execute it. Okay. Okay. So you are basically telling me that I should like remove the comma. Just 1 second. Comma should be basically there. Otherwise, it will not going to execute. Just see. I think there is some mistake that I have basically did over here, guys. Hmm. Just give me 1 second. Just 1 second. I think what I have basically did is, let's just look into the country one. I think they have even not like inserted it, but some mistake I am basically doing. Okay, we can just do one thing. We can just skip this for now, like because it will be this thing only. I'm basically getting stuck over here. But the data types and all that we are like sending over here, that is correct, because previously when we have inserted it, it was like working completely fine. Okay, no, like the data was like in this. Okay, one thing was there, the country that we basically have. Okay, C1 and India, we was like sending it correctly. Region ID basically was there, and okay, let's just consider it as C3, C4, C5, and now let's just try to like execute it. What was it? Okay, so let's just leave this question for now, because let's just jump to the next one basically over here. Now let's just say what you basically have to do is, you basically have to write a SQL query where you will be just going to insert basically a rows from country new table to countries table. So what we'll be basically going to do at that time, we'll be simply going to write a query where will be all the rows that we basically have, we'll be going to insert that rows into a new table. So how we'll be basically going to do that, let's just try to understand this one. For that, let's just open a new tab over here, and I'll be just simply going to do one thing. I'll be simply going to do insert into, countries, and after that what we'll be basically going to do, we'll be simply going to do select star from country new. So let's just try to execute this one. Okay, so it is like working completely fine. So let's just look into this one. Okay, so all the data that we was basically having over there, we have like simply inserted it over here only, this one. So if there is an existing table and you want to basically insert all the rows that it was basically having to a new table, you can simply use this code, insert into the particular table name and the table where you are basically sending it. This is what you can basically do over here. Okay, now let us just say what you are basically doing, you are basically creating a table. Okay, so what you basically have to do, someone will basically going to ask you, you have to do one thing, you have to write a SQL query to insert one row in a particular table to ensure one thing, that there is no duplicate value. Okay, let's just quickly try to finish this one, guys. So if someone will going to ask you that, what you have to do is, you basically have to create a table and it should not have any duplicate value. All right, so what you will be basically going to do, like there will be no duplicate values that you will be going to enter in a particular column. So what we will be going to do at that time, just see this thing, in the sys only we'll be going to do this thing in the same this one. So we'll be basically going to use this code over there. We'll be just going to mention sys. I think we have the job table over here. Okay, that is new, this thing sys, but in sys we have the job table, right? Yes, we basically have the job table. And after that, what we'll be basically going to do, what we have mentioned, create table if not exist the particular database name and the table name. And after that, job id. Over here I have mentioned the data type of it, that is integer, not null and unique. What is the meaning of it? Let's just say if you basically have a student table, if you basically have a student table and over there is basically a id. So id you have mentioned that is 101. All right, but for the next student, if you'll be going to mention 101, it will not enter in it because you have mentioned unique. That means whenever you will be going to write a particular value in a particular column, that is means job id, I have mentioned unique. So each and every job id should be really unique. Okay, so each and every value should be really unique. And after that, we basically have a job title. So over here we have mentioned the job title that we'll be going to mention. Let's just say it can be software engineer or anything, so that should be like covered in 35 characters. And the salary that you will be going to mention, that will be going to in a 6 digit. And now what we are doing, we are simply inserting it, insert into jobs value the id, the name and the particular salary. So if I'll be simply going to run it, okay, sys jobs, one second, guys. Okay, that is like already been created. This is basically already been created. So what we'll be going to do, we'll be simply going to use this one. Okay, okay, all right. Jobs is basically there, just give me 1 second. Job id, okay, why it is basically giving us error? Because the table that we have basically created, it basically have 1 2 3 4 columns, right? But right now the data over here, the query that we was basically writing, so over here we'll be going to create new table. Let's just say table name will be something, let us just say salary. Okay, salary, and yeah, salary will be there because I don't think there is a name of salary. Yeah, salary will be there. And what we'll be going to do over here, sys dot salary will be basically going to mention, and we'll be simply going to execute it. Okay, so it over here, if you'll be just going to see, if I'll be just going to refresh it over here, and if you'll be just going to look into the salary one, and if you'll be just going to click on this table, you'll be able to see the same thing, like 101 officer and 8,000 that we have basically mentioned. So the same thing is basically there. So this is what you can basically do if you basically want the value to be not null and it should be really unique. So at that time you will be going to use this unique. Okay, all right guys, so do you have any kind of a confusion till now? Guys, all the these things, the code query that I have basically provided and the installation that I have basically given, right? I think this was the installation that I have basically shown you in the yesterday session. I think this it was. Let me just show you again. Just give me 1 second. Okay, just give me 1 second. I think this was the installation that I have basically shown you in the yesterday session. So this installation video, I think I have already shared, but again, I'll be just going to share with all of you. Just give me some time. So this thing I'll be even going to share with all of you. So you will basically going to get these things and all the things that we have seen today. Okay, salary we have created because previously I was writing jobs over here, but in the same collection we have already created jobs table. That's why I have created a salary table, because table, there is no table as name salary. Because over here what I was basically doing, that when I was basically writing salary and I was basically creating these columns, it was giving me an error, because previously I have already created the job which was having this much of columns. That was this 1 2 3 4 5. But initially what I was doing, I was creating a job table where I was mentioning 3 columns. That's why I have created this one, nothing else. Okay, yeah, so I can basically say guys, this is it for today's session, and rest of the things we'll be going to cover in the next session only. All right, so this is it for today's session guys. The rest of the thing that is left for sure we'll be going to cover in the tomorrow session. All right, the docs, each and everything I'll be going to share, don't worry about it. Okay guys, then bye bye each and everyone. Good night guys, take care, bye bye.